unique story. This is a unique opportunity for us because the purpose of today's session is to talk about HITEC and a project that we did over the course of, I would say, the last year and a half to 2 years in collaboration with two of our longstanding corporate partners, KPMG and JPMorgan. This is, a project that was very near and dear to me and to our entire team. And I'm really, really excited to spend some time talking about how this all came about, what we did, how we did it, and how this has helped us at HITEC better serve our partners, better serve our members, and really be a more modern and data-focused and customer-driven organization, thanks to the amazing work of KPMG and JPMorgan. Before we get started, I wanted to take a minute and introduce and have her say a couple of words. The chair of the HITEC Board of Directors, with JPMorgan, Rosa Ramos-Kwak. Rosa.
Thank you so much, Omar, and what a great time for all of us to come together. Happy spring, and one of the things that Omar mentioned is around how long we've been at this, and we're going to be talking about a HITEC project, which is a little bit unique. Our vice chair, Miriam Hernandez-Cacol, and I participate obviously in the board meetings, right? And many of you may wonder, what is it that you discuss in these board meetings? Like, of course, we talk about our finances, we talk about our future, our strategy, a number of things, but we also talk about some of the needs of the organization itself. And one of those needs was quite basic. Data is a foundation for almost anything. And we certainly had data everywhere. And so that was one of the discussions at the board. And Miriam mentioned, well, maybe KPMG can help on that. And so you're going to hear from the KPMG team around how they leaned in as a corporate partner, as a member of the board, essentially for some pro bono work, right? And then there was also conversations about like, well, our website is hard to maintain. It's not really usable. We want to do a new one. And so as a board member and as a really good JPMorgan Chase citizen, I was like, I think maybe JPMorgan can help. Take a look at that. And so we embarked on some work there with our Force for Social Good program, which Stacy's going to talk to you about. And all of this is around, our corporate partners coming together, joining forces, and, having a partnership with HITEC, extending the familia to our corporations. And all of us can look around and see where we need to help. Where do our communities need some help? Where do they need some expertise? And, you may want to think about, like, how do I do good in the world? Well, sometimes it's just right in front of you. It's with the organization that you're currently engaged in. It's with your organization at work, that has programs like we do in these two firms that you'll hear about, that really are focusing on giving back to the communities. And in that, having purpose, a greater purpose at work that is more than just a project that you're working on, that is about the greater good and the fulfillment that brings to our employees and, again, to the communities, and that we all benefit. So I would encourage all of you to do that. This is an interesting technology project, right? In all cases, like, we all work with data, we all work on how we represent that information. We all have to deal with things like technical debt, sustainability, maintainability. All of those things came up, right? As we're focusing on our spend as well, we want to make sure that we're judicious with our budgets. How could we also do more with less? And this encompasses all of those things. So you're going to hear about all of those things. And I just want to thank our partners and the HITEC team for really leaning in on these two efforts, right? When someone says, hey, we're willing to help, let's give you, let's work with you, Everybody has to do their part. And the result when everybody collaborates like that is beautiful. And I think you'll all saw the website, and that's the foundation of that is the data that we did with KPMG. So like this all came together so beautifully. And I can't wait for all of you to hear about this corporate partnership, what it means, and how we extended the familia really to organizing our data and also around how we engage with our constituents and the journey that we have for all of you. Thank you. Omar, over to you.
Rosa, thank you so much for that. Appreciate your leadership and appreciate you connecting us to the Force for Social Good team, who has been an amazing partner to us. For me, what the world sees, at least visually, is a new, more modern website with a new look, and hopefully all of you have had an opportunity to see it, use it, and interact with it. But really behind that website is so much more. And I think the one thing that I will add on to what Rosa said, and you're going to hear this a lot from me, from Rosa, from Miriam, from all of HITEC, is we're right now in a different phase of our organizational growth. HITEC has been around for 17 years, was founded in 2006, and really grew over the course of time in a very organic manner, and was driven by volunteers who really set the foundation for who we are as an organization. But we've gotten to the point where there's a little bit, as you grow and as you mature, and really, in many ways, we were like a startup. And now we're at a different phase of our organizational growth. I am the first full-time non-volunteer president of the organization. We have a growing team. We are, increasingly doing more and more. Our emerging executive program has more than doubled in the last 3 years. The work that we're doing also in partnership with KPMG, our board readiness program, that continues to grow. Our summits have grown just because of the number of corporate partners that we've added, right? We've tripled in size from a corporate partner standpoint. And with that growth, you need sort of that organizational infrastructure to be able to manage that and to be able to sustain that type of growth. And quite frankly, a couple of years ago, when we started on this program, we weren't there. We didn't have a central database. We didn't have a CRM. We didn't have an external facing website that was easy to navigate, easy to update, easy to use, and more importantly, that was data driven. Like many small organizations, we had, people on our team love to kind of throw out this very scientific number, 100 million documents in 100 million places. But in many ways, it was true. It was documents and spreadsheets. And, anytime we needed to do something, it was like creating a new spreadsheet, like, oh, I'll build a new spreadsheet to do this. And as all of you know, that is, it might do the job in the moment, but it doesn't necessarily lend itself for growth and for just good management and sustainability. And really, that was how this initiative started, right? Rosa talked about how in our board, Miriam was like, well, we have a team within KPMG. In many ways, we do a lot of work focused around data, and we have a team called the Data Citizens with Purpose. And why don't we see if we can help you begin to organize? And as I think back to some of those initial meetings, Bob, it was a challenge, right? And where we were gathering all of the information and all the documents that we have to bring them to KPMG so that we could organize and hopefully do something and build something with that. And what I love is that at every step of the process with KPMG, with JPMorgan, with our team, and with others, it's really been about how do we leverage not just the data, but how do we leverage our leaders, our partners, and people who want to contribute to create something better, right? And this is now going to allow us to serve our customers better, to serve our members better, our partners, and it's going to set us up for ongoing growth. And I'm really, really excited, incredibly appreciative of the leadership, Miriam and KPMG, Rosa and JPMorgan, the leaders at the Force for Social Good and Data Citizens with Purpose. And I'm excited to kick off this conversation. So as we begin, I'm going to introduce the three of our panelists, and if maybe we can have each panelist take 30 to 45 seconds, introduce yourselves, tell us what you do, so that we can begin to set the stage. So I'll start with Bob Parr from KPMG.
Hey, well, so I'm the Chief Data Officer for our advisory practice. And so my job really is to connect our people to our data assets and to equip them with tools and with the knowledge and skills to use those assets. So, we are an insights-driven company. So it's a privilege to be in this type of a role, and it's incredibly exciting to see all the different types of ways that we bring insights, to the table. And Data Citizens is one of those. It's a pillar within my organization because, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, but it's one of the things I think I'm most proud of, and it's through work like this that really excites me and gets you up in the morning knowing you're impacting broader communities like HITEC.
Thank you, Bob. Stacy Newman Kandel from JPMC.
Hi, nice to meet everybody. I am a user experience engineer at JPMorgan Chase, and I look at how we marry the ease of our design and integration into the technology in a sustainable, flexible, and incremental way that is easy to be used and easy to adopt. I've been working with Tech for Social Good, and I will talk a little bit about Force for Good in a little bit, which is the arm of Tech for Social Good that worked on this project. I've been involved with them since 2019, and they are the externally facing social innovation program that are building tech-based solutions. And it is really, truly food for the soul because it allows us to wake up and really put our hearts and soul into helping raise up our communities as well.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. And our very own Alexis Vazquez.
Hi, everyone. Super honored to be here today. I am the Marketing Communications and Design Manager at HITEC. I've been with HITEC for 2 years this September. I am, like my title says, a graphic designer, marketer, project manager for this specific web project. It's been an absolute delight. This is my favorite job that I've ever had. I've told Omar that they're going to have to get rid of me, find a reason to get rid of me if they want to, because I'm not leaving. I am, like we do in our HITEC check-ins, I'm Puerto Rican and Cuban. I have a husband and a son and daughter. My son is 4. My daughter is 1. And again, thanks so much for the opportunity to speak here with you guys today.
Great. Thank you, Alexis, for all of it you've done and for being here today. So why don't we start where the project started, right? And that is with our specific need around data. I talked to you a little bit about the challenges that we had when we first initiated this, but Bob, I'd love to, for you to kick us off to kind of talk to us a little bit about Data Citizens with Purpose, the work that you guys do, and how you engaged with us, with HITEC, on this project.
Yep, no, it sounds great. Well, thanks. So, Data Citizens with Purpose started about 3.5, 4 years ago. And it was really, I was doing some work with some nonprofits, and I noticed they all had a need for data and analytics support and insights. They were all stretched. They all didn't have enough capacity, and they were trying to do more with less. They didn't have the tools. They didn't have, in some cases, the skills working with those tools. So there's got to be a way. KPMG has a fairly well-developed community citizenship program, but it's more traditional. It's you physically show up and you give blood, or you work with a community. There wasn't a digital component to that, and so with that big need, it was like there's got to be a way we can pair tech savvy people in our firm to the broader community, to nonprofits, and do that in a pro bono basis. And so that really was the germination of Data Systems with Purpose. It's trying to bring those communities together, and really it's us bringing our people with DNA skills, our tools, and then sitting down and really understanding the problems, understanding what the objectives were, and setting forth in a small team of typically about 6 people for a period of 6 to 8 weeks. So we try and put some boundaries around this so it fits into people's schedules, and quite often these become passion projects for the individuals, and it ends up being sort of nights and weekends work, but it's work they absolutely pour themselves into and want to do, and that was very much the case here. And so to date, we've done about work with about 100 nonprofits, tens of thousands hours of digital community impact with those institutions. And so it's just you all represent tech savvy skill sets in your organization and with you personally. And I just encourage you, establishing programs like this, it can make a difference, not just to the community, but for your own internal folks as well. And that's certainly been our experience with Data Citizens. So that's enough on that as background. But so the work, and rightly so, Omar, you started with the data because you knew you wanted to get to customer experience, and that improved future that you were targeting. But quite often the limiter, as you all know, often becomes the data. And so diving into that sea of spreadsheets was job number one. And so we did 2 projects. The first one was with the fundamentals, and so it was really just starting to look at how the data was going to be used, starting to work on a data model, a basic like member contact information, events, communities, and really start to structure that and get that in place. And so while at a high level that sounds simple, it took some creativity, a lot of hours on both sides, and we a number of weeks later had a foundation, and so that was step 1. Then step 2 was, okay, now what type of insights can we get from this? And let's start, with some basic insights. And so we started to look really at demographics, member demographics. We started looking at trends and event participation. What events are driving new members, and what events are really the hallmarks of those existing members. Looking at what happened during the pandemic, where you went to many different virtual events, how did that translate to participation? So there's some really great insights, I think, even with that very basic foundation that we created for you guys. So and then that really set the stage for all the other work that was done. So just really pleased that we could help out and do what we did to get you moving in that space. So
appreciate that, Bob, and appreciate all of the members of the KPMG Data Citizens with Purpose team, right? We've, as you mentioned, we worked with a couple of different teams and 2 different iterations of the work that we needed to do. And so happy that you talked about those insights, right? Because we had, really prior to this thought about who our main customers are, right? And our focus has been really primarily in 3 areas. Number one, that senior executive, the CIO level, approaching C-suite executive that has always been core to who we are at HITEC. Number 2 is that emerging leader, that individual that we know has the potential and that we want to help develop by giving them access to a broader network of Hispanic technology leaders, and by helping them develop their leadership skills to prepare them for that future C-level role, right? And this is why we do programs like our Emerging Executive Program, and why we have leadership development and mentoring as such a core component of who we are and what we do at HITEC. And then that third persona is really our corporate partners, right? Who have an interest in helping develop their talent, who have an interest in attracting talent, and who, frankly, help complete this ecosystem of who we are at HITEC. And so those insights were incredibly valuable. So now we wanted to take those insights, and it's one thing to have them, but like how do you action them? And that's really what prompted the next engagement with JPMorgan. And so I want to introduce and have Stacy talk about what that engagement was like, the different phases. We did multiple phases also with JPMorgan, and how that eventually led into the creation and development of our website.
Thank you. So this became actually one of my passion projects over the course of the 18 months that we worked on it. Let me start off with a little bit of information about what Force for Good is. Like I said previously, it is JPMorgan Chase's externally facing social innovation program that's ultimately building tech-based solutions. This year marks the 10-year anniversary of Force for Good. So over the past 10 years, we've had over 6,000 JPMorgan participants, and we have done 815,000 hours, and ultimately 870, give or take some, pro bono technology solutions for nonprofits. And ultimately, Force for Good is looking at those social good organizations. So they're looking at nonprofits, foundations, social enterprises. And ultimately, what we've seen is that the sector tends to lack scalable solutions and technology resources. And so what we want to do coming in from Force for Good is to amplify their reach and efficiency. And we want to accelerate ultimately their journey and really help to create a more equitable society. And ultimately, Force for Good runs as a cohort of 5 to 8 months with a small team of 6 to 8 JPMorgan employees. And really their mission to really help to elevate the nonprofit, to help them to get to where they need to go at a little bit faster of a pace than said maybe they would have gotten to on their own. This was a really interesting project because it came, I believe, to Force for Good from Rosa by means of saying that HITEC was looking to build a website. And so initially we went in thinking about what we needed to do to build a website, but almost from the start, we said, HITEC, do you really, you have all of these insights. Let's talk about really who your users are and what we really want to be designing this site to do and who is it for and how to get adoption pretty easily and seamlessly. So we started off with ultimately doing in our first cohort, so there was 3 that each went about 5 to 8 months, and each cohort had switched out, and it was primarily made up of user experience designers and from all different lines of business, and they worked together to ultimately go from the analysis phase all the way through designing the UI and the wireframes as well. So to talk a little bit about the first phase of it, we started with doing some competitive analysis. We started with doing, a heuristic evaluation, meaning what a heuristic is it's based on a set of points that we would then, as a user experience designer, go into a said already functioning website application, and we apply different metrics to it to see how it's stacking up. So we ultimately went through and did a heuristic evaluation on the current website. We called out things that we wanted to ask questions about, or dig in deeper, or gain more understanding to, or to talk about ways that we think that maybe they could reach a broader audience or a more targeted audience, depending on what the need is, based on what we were seeing. We thought then, out of that heuristic evaluation, the next piece would be, who are we really going to be designing this new site for, now that we know where we want to target from the different areas of the current site? And so we actually worked with HITEC very closely to produce what we call proto-personas. And basically, as Omar has just stated, we found out really a lot about who are their users and who are they really trying to target for this website, and how do we get this in a place that would ultimately be easy to use and easy to adopt, and ultimately be giving them the information that they need on a regular basis. So we went through and we created their personas, which I believe Rosa has even said are used in some meetings sometimes when there's discussion. They say, let's talk about who we're doing this for. So it's fantastic to see that these personas are actually scaled to even outside of the website themselves and are used in everyday conversations and problem solving and solutioning to ensure that they're always keeping these users close to them, to make sure that they are doing right by their set of stakeholders. We then also, in that first phase, went on to do some analytic research, looking at their social media and their websites, and looking at the traffic, looking at the click-through rates, and understanding where they were getting usage and where things were falling off as well, so we could help to really give some really straight feedback on ultimately where we think that things should be fixed, or maybe to abandon, or maybe to completely look at from a change of what we're doing from a strategy perspective on some of these different communication types. So that is what concluded the first phase, or the first cohort. The second cohort then started with really picking up from where that first cohort left off. And ultimately, the main focus of our second cohort was, because we had found in our heuristic evaluation and working with and understanding who the users are, we found that there was a whole lot of information, and it was spread in multiple locations. And so ultimately, we said, from looking at this, we think that we should really focus on the information architecture as the next phase of this program. And so ultimately, we worked really closely with Alexis and with HITEC to really understand what their priorities were, what the calls to action needed to be, and how we could ultimately make a better way to be able to navigate through their new website in a meaningful and flexible way that they can continue to scale as needed. We did a whole lot of work on it and had lots of iterations working with it, and really got to a really good sweet spot with it. From there, we ended up putting together some basic mood boards and some high-level wireframe designs to start to show how this was going to take shape. We then went into the third phase, or our third cohort of UX design. And in this phase, we did a lot more wireframing. We worked really closely with Alexis and with a developer, a UI developer, to ultimately be able to implement the UI, which we worked very closely with everybody to collaborate and design, and ultimately to also understand its usability as well, to make sure that we were going to be giving them something that was going to be easy to adopt and ultimately easy for HITEC to also maintain as well. Because we, as part of Force for Good, come in to help to create technology solutions, but we want to also, at the end of it, ensure that we are leaving this new solution in a place that is easy to maintain and easy to extend and easy to work with when we are no longer on that project. We want to make sure that said nonprofit can always be self-sufficient. So we also worked on making sure that everybody was well equipped to be able to continue on working on the website once Force for Good finished their third engagement with HITEC. This was probably one of the most amazing projects that I've worked on in Tech for Social Good, just being that it was not only, it took 3 phases to get through, and I was fortunate enough to be able to be a part of it starting from the first phase. And so I got to see how it went and all the success of the current website. But it was also a really special project to me because it became a user experience centered project. And this is really great, being that we have a large contingency of very creative and very talented UXers here. And ultimately, they got to really help and really elevate their work and really help to really make HITEC's website design what it is today by working and collaborating so closely. And hopefully moving forward, we'll have much more UX engagement on our Tech for Social Good and Force for Good programs now that we've had this amazing successful engagement with UX and with HITEC.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Wanted to just chime in. One, I wanted to thank Stacy and also Bob for all their work. But one of the things that when we're talking about technology solutions, it's really easy to just have the answer. So we want a new website, very easy. Here's a new website, here you go. What's harder to do is to listen and really understand what the need is. And in this case, that's what we did in both cases, honestly, in both the data example and also the new website. We really listened to understand what was really needed. It wasn't just really a website. It was really another way of thinking through this. I think sometimes when you're trying to understand new facets and new areas of technology, the opportunities are right there staring at you in the face, right? So I was not very experienced in the world of UX and the whole practice of UX and UX design and UX engineering. And through this project and through meeting Stacy and her leadership, really made that come to life. So it was a listening and a learning experience across the board. I think the other thing that I'm really proud of, and I remember having these conversations with Stacy, was the sense of familia. And Stacy, you were very protective about that, right? You were like, the sense of familia has to come through. And I never mentioned that to her. She just got it through the discussions, seeing our content. And I hope that all of you see the passion that the team at JPMorgan put into this, because we wanted that to come off the page.
Thank you, Rosa. Your words are so kind and so appreciative. And I know that I mirror the other UX designers who worked on this, that they had a really meaningful experience on this project. And they were really, really pleased to see the outcome of each of the 3 phases and ultimately the delivered solution as well. So thank you so much for all of your support. I want to thank HITEC for all of their support as we worked together on this. And I want to turn it over to Alexis to talk more in depth about the site itself.
Thank you so much, Stacy. I just want to start off by reiterating our thanks and gratitude to KPMG and JPMorgan for their programs, for their efforts towards HITEC and this whole new website. Like Rosa said, it's much more than just the website that we needed. We really did need to think about the entire thing in a whole different way. I want to also give a quick shout out to Carlos, who helped with our CRM and all of the data, everything that KPMG helped to organize. Carlos kind of like just streamlined that even more, and now we have a beautiful CRM which connects directly to our website. So just know that on the back end for us, it's a lot easier to navigate the website and gather information and statistics and all that great stuff. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to Christian, who was our web developer throughout the time and also played a really big part with JPMorgan's Force for Good program and just kind of was the person to help us build it all. So I want to start by saying that this was like a trial by fire for me. When I joined HITEC, I was, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and quickly they were like, hey, we're redoing our website. We want your expertise, your design expertise. I came in with a predominantly design background. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. And quickly realized with the Force for Good team that this was going to be a huge lift. What we had, they showed me all these documents of what KPMG had put together. I saw the proto personas. I saw all this stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, how now do we put all of this together and make it into something that people want to come to, people that it makes sense for people to come to, that they know how to navigate, right? Our website before was just very difficult to maintain. It was very difficult to find what you were looking for. Like Stacy had mentioned, there was multiple pages that had the same information. It was just, what we had to do was really just shave off a lot of the excess and get down to what is the purpose of this website? Who are we trying to appeal to? Who are we trying to reach? How are we trying to reach them? What are we trying to say to them? What do we want them to do? And then all the way down to, what does this button do when we hover over it? What is the text? How are these pictures going to be showing up? How do we want to show our events? Hierarchy of information on the website. Now that we have everything organized, how is it gonna, what is the order for it to make sense when people actually land on the website, for them to have this natural, organic experience when they get on there? And so it was nothing short of a huge hill to climb, but with the expertise of just so many amazing UXers from JPMorgan Chase, with the tons of documents that KPMG was able to, help us bring down and shave down and get to everything. Our website now is so streamlined. It is so much easier to navigate. Just so you're aware, you don't have to click like 4 times anymore to donate to the HITEC Foundation. If you want to do that, you can do that right away. So I don't want to hear it. There is so much more opportunity to get engaged and connect with us directly. Everything is just so organized and so beautiful. And I am so honored to have been the person to kind of like spearhead this with KPMG and JPMorgan Chase. It was like a total honor to really just be pushing all this, forward the hours long meetings, because sometimes the meetings were super long. And sometimes we would finish a meeting with Force for Good and say, okay, so we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Like, do you guys have time? I know this is like pro bono work for you. I know that you guys are volunteering your time, but yeah, it's the new website. If you guys haven't seen it, I encourage you to go on it. Tell everybody that needs to know about HITEC about it, because the new website is absolutely phenomenal. And again, just thank you to the teams. Thank you for everything that you guys did to make this possible. We could not have done this without you at all.
Alexis, I want to take a quick moment to recognize your leadership and your work. This would not have been possible were it not for your persistence through all of this. So thank you. And I'm so happy that you mentioned Carlos Gomez, who I think is still on the call, is our person now dedicated to our CRM, who did the actual work and built it out, and who, we sort of have this mantra now, like no new spreadsheets for HITEC, and he's the one that keeps us honest on all of that. I do want to open it up for questions, but I want to highlight one thing about the website, and then I'll ask the first question to Alexis. As you navigate the site, one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to put our people, our leaders, forward, and have them really have a major presence on the site. And so, for example, if you go in and you look at, whether it's the HITEC 100, our emerging executive program, or the HITEC 50, or our board ready program, we, because we believe in celebrating each other, and we believe in celebrating the successes of our Hispanic technology leaders, of our members, we wanted to make sure that they were front and center. Because I think we've gotten to a point where, this typical reply or retort from major companies or recruiters of, there just is no pipeline. There is no, there are no senior Hispanic leaders. We want to dispel that notion, because we know the incredible talent that exists within the Hispanic community, the incredible work that our leaders are doing in technology, and we wanted that to be upfront. And so when companies or recruiters or what have you come to the site, they can see easily, and they can easily access who these leaders are that are doing amazing things. And those people that are featured on the site are really just the tip of the iceberg. And I know that we have more work to do to continue to add more people from our community, so that they can be featured and highlighted, so that their work can be featured and highlighted on our website. And so hopefully that's one of the things that you walk away with when you see the site. A question for you, Alexis, because I think Stacy talked about this, right? But I know I've seen some reports from you on how it's been received and some of the organic traffic that we're getting as a result of the new site. So maybe Alexis, if you can kind of give us some high level, like what have you seen in the last almost 2 months that the site has been live? What are some of the data and new insights that we're beginning to get from the site?
Yeah, it's really cool, because I love the answer to this question, because it just shows me that all of the hard work that we've put into this wasn't for nothing. It's really delivered. And so it's really cool to see the amount of email signups, the amount of inquiries for corporate partnerships, the amount of people reaching out, literally just saying, how can I get more involved with HITEC? The amount of people interested in individual membership. I mean, we have at least 3 to 4 a day people just inquiring on how to get involved with HITEC. On our previous site, it was nothing like that. We did not have at all anybody coming in. And so this new site really is just allowing like, because it's so much easier to find, because it's so much easier to say, hey, how can I get involved? Tell me what I can do. People are taking action. And so it's really, really amazing to see how much more traffic is coming to the site, but also how much that's converting. And so to see like how many people are actually going to the site and saying, they're not just, looking at the website and saying, well, yeah, HITEC did a great job. They're like, wow, I really want to get involved. I want to lead a HITEC Live. I want to host an event. I want to, and we're getting so many more inquiries than we literally were getting none before. So now we are getting like so many more. And it's been absolutely incredible to just see that turnaround, to have like that problem, right? I have to go to Carlos and say, hey, we have to make sure that these forms are working perfect because we've had like 10 email signups today. So I'm like, we need to make sure that that's going into the CRM and, everything's being streamlined. So yeah, again, like none of this could have happened without KPMG and JPMorgan. Like your initiatives, your help with all of this it is tangible.
Thank you, Alexis. Any questions from those that are on the call, whether to us or KPMG or JPMorgan? Benny.
Of course, I'm going to ask something. Welcome, familia. Alexis, you didn't talk about the new logo.
Well, this conversation didn't really have too much to do specifically this HITEC Live with the new logo, but yes, with the launch of the new website was also a launch of a brand refresh. Oh gosh, I can speak to this. I have been working on this for as long as I've been a part of HITEC. And it has really been like my passion project. You can ask Omar the amount of times that him and I went back and forth and bumped heads, and it was honestly, it has made me a better designer, and I am just so grateful for the experience overall. Yeah, I did it. I wanted to modernize HITEC, because we are a modern people, right? We are technologists, we are innovators, we are pioneers, we are, the change makers, the way makers. Like, we needed something that was fresh and new. And that's exactly what I wanted to bring to us. I wanted something more vibrant. If you guys know anything about me, I'm like rainbow glitter unicorns all over the place. So I needed something that would pop, that would make HITEC, stand out amongst other organizations like ourselves, and make us, make others want to be a part of what we did. And so yeah, essentially the redesign is, nice and simple, but it's clean, it's bright. And I'm super, super happy with it. The music to my ears was the day that Omar looked at me and said, I think this is it. And I was like, oh my gosh. Whew, like I could finally throw in the towel, because man, it was a long road, but I am so grateful again to especially Omar, because I feel like he was, he was like my buddy in all this. And I was just like, I kept throwing ideas and I would get like a really hard no and it would kill me. But, ultimately we wound up with some amazing branding. And I can't wait to see what it all looks like in person at the summits. And oh my God, it's going to be amazing. So I hope you guys have enjoyed all of the new graphics, all of the new, the brand colors. They're brighter than they used to be. We're still blue. And you can see a couple of our HITEC team members with their HITEC backgrounds. If anybody wants them, you can go ahead and email me. I would love to share them with you so that you guys can show your HITEC pride. Thank you so much, Benny, for that question.
Ooh,
Oh yes,
Christine, that's going to be a surprise.
Yeah, that one we're not displaying, we're not showing that yet, but yes, our awards are going to be brand new as well. So it's going to be, you guys are going to love them. They're super, super modern and clean, and same idea. You guys, if you love the new branding, you're going to love the awards.
I think, one thing that I would add, if there aren't any questions as we wrap up, is for me, the power that comes when an organization, a company, in this case, KPMG and JPMorgan Chase, the impact that you can have, that companies can have for an organization like ours is so great, right? And I think, you know, the Force for Good has been around, as Stacy said, for 10 years. And Bob, I know that you guys have been doing, you guys have been doing this, and obviously, you know, two very mature organizations that have been working to leverage the skills of their employees for the greater good with organizations, with nonprofit organizations like ours. You know, what I would say to others on this call, other corporate partners, is, you know, there is so much need and there's so much opportunity to do good, right? And in many ways, we think of how we engage with nonprofits, and we think of service and volunteerism, or writing, you know, a check, and those are certainly important ways, and we don't want to discourage anybody from doing that. But leveraging the skills of your employees, leveraging the skills of your teams on behalf of organizations is such an important thing. And especially when I think about technology, right? And Stacy, you mentioned this, nonprofits just don't have those resources. And that hasn't been a focus, right? I've been in the nonprofit space for the majority of my career, and I can tell you there is a tremendous need. And I think we as HITEC, there's so much that we can do to leverage our community, to leverage our leaders to do good in our communities, right? We always talk about, you know, how each of us has a responsibility to be a great corporate and community leader. And this is just one other way to do that. So on behalf of HITEC, Rosa, Stacy, Bob, Miriam, to all of you, and to all of the individual members of the team, because they contributed so much. Thank you. You have made us better. You've made us better. You have made us. You have made our growth more sustainable. And I promise you that we will only continue to do more good as a result of your work. So thank you. I believe I saw a hand that was raised too, although it went away. And so if you have a question, please unmute yourself and ask. Maybe not.
I think it might have been a mistake, because I know sometimes people try to raise their hand when they're like trying to clap. So there's different reactions.
I guess Stacy, Bob, Alexis, or Rosa, any parting words, any final thoughts?
I'm just grateful. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead, Bob.
No, I just think you said it so well that, you know, people are busy, but if you know, you can connect them with a cause that excites them, that adds purpose to what they're doing. It's amazing what people will do, and I think your organization is about harnessing that, and I think that certainly, you know, the team that worked with you felt that way, and they're better for it, certainly, and so it's having a way to funnel that energy, and I think all these executives here that are members, I mean, they represent skills that nonprofits need. So the more they can, you know, think about how they can structure the flow of those into the community, the better. So.
And I just wanted to say thank you again. This was an amazing endeavor that we got to take, and I wanted to also say thank you for allowing me to become part of your familia for this journey. So thank you so much. I promise I will take this with me wherever I go.
She's Dominican now, by the way.
I love that.
Susana.
Yeah, I just raised my hand. Of course, to say thank you to our corporate partners for their engagement and their support. But I also will say there are many opportunities out there for people who want to do good. And I'm really proud of our team, our organization, for knowing what we do really well. We do really well providing a platform and the familia for our network to connect. We might not be the best at data management. We might not be the best at a website design or everything like that. So we asked for help. And that isn't always easy. It's not always easy to say, hey, you know what? This isn't our strength. We're not doing the best we can here. But because HITEC leads from a place of passion and purpose, we are able to put ego aside and we're able to look and source and find spectacular people to help in the process. So for everybody else on the participants in this call, I hope that you leave this call understanding that there are many forces for good out there, but also understanding that in your own worlds and in your own spaces, where you do need help, ask for it, because there are plenty of people who are willing to pitch that in. And at HITEC, we're here to be that network to make those connections. So if anybody out there needs any type of resources, I'm not saying that I can help you with website design, but I can help with a lot of other stuff. And so can everybody else on the HITEC team. So to our partners, to our community, to everybody who has supported us, we greatly thank you. We offer you our mil gracias and also offer you our support in return.
What a beautiful sentiment. I think as you were saying that, Susanna, I was just thinking about the importance of giving back to our communities and doing that with purpose, doing that in ways where you're also learning. So what a win-win, right? Like, I didn't have a lot of experience with UX. Guess what? I learned through this process. And I got to meet new people at the firm and network. And we got to deliver something to HITEC, which is an organization that I love, right? So in our community helping, like, it's a win-win all around. So I think it's just a great story. And we're also using and putting a new mark on our digital presence. So the future is digital. Bob, I think you mentioned this, right? Around how we can give back digitally and how we could think about our information in different ways. And so this was all about, Alexis mentioned, modernizing our logo, modernizing our data, modernizing our digital presence. Like, this was all about a new era, Omar, that you talked about, and that journey and that evolution for the HITEC organization. So what a great way to start the year.
Well, and what a great way to end this session. Thank you, Rosa. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Bob, Alexis, Carlos. Thank you for your inspiring words, Susanna. We look forward to seeing you all on our next HITEC Live. And we look forward to seeing you in person at our Spring Leadership Summit taking place in San Francisco, May 9th and 10th. Please, take the time to register if you're planning on attending. We do expect that we will sell out. And so if you have your registration codes, I would absolutely recommend that you register sooner rather than later. And then I want to remind everybody that there's a different configuration for this Spring Summit. We will start around midday on the Tuesday. So please plan accordingly. And then we will go through the end of the day on Wednesday, May 10th. And then if you are participating in EEP or in the Board Ready program, that will take place on Thursday. So looking forward to seeing everybody once again. Thank you on behalf of HITEC. Thank you to KPMG and to JPMorgan. Appreciate all of your support, and adelante.
Mil gracias. Mil gracias. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Hasta luego. Roy, Alexis, can you stay on for a second?